All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Shannon Patterson, and I am the program manager for Utica Snug.
Hey, Shannon.
Good evening, everyone. Is it on me?
Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Roosevelt Patterson. I'm the program coordinator of Rebuilding a Village at the Patrick L. Johnson Community Youth Center.
And I am Coffee.
And I am Cream. Hello,
And,
everyone.
and together we are Queens of Conversation. We know it's been a minute since you heard from us, but we want to say Happy New Year, 2024. There's a lot of things that's been happening, and mainly because our main discussion today is going to be about the city of Utica, New York. We understand there has been a lot of gun violence, and a lot of our youth are being taken away from us at a very rapid rate. And it's definitely not just an individual problem, it's a community problem. And we're going to talk about some different programs that's in the city on how we can help alleviate the situation. I'm going to um, pass it over to Cream. We have one more person joining us. I'm going to let her in real quick.
All right. And so also along with, tomorrow is going to be a big day again for the city of Utica. We're going to have our first Utica Civilian Public Safety Advisory Board Town Hall. And I just really want to emphasize the importance of your voice being heard, your heart being heard. We've got great connections in our community. A lot of times we're in our own bubbles. We go to meetings, we talk at the water cooler or on social media, but this is a time for your heart and your mind to be heard. We're going to be there to share information about what we do as a board, why we were even formed, but most importantly to hear from the community. So if you could attend, it would be amazing. We will not be streaming it live this time. However, it's going to be at Munson on Genesee Street, and it's going to start at 6 p.m. and the entire community is welcome. We'll have refreshments and again some really important, weighty, meaty dialogue. So hope to see you then.
Okay, we're going to start off with one of our great community leaders, Roosevelt Patterson. And he's going to discuss some of the things that he's doing in the community as it relates to rebuilding the village.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, so as you guys know, I work shoulder to shoulder with one of our community leaders, Mr. Patrick L. Johnson, who we lost last year of battle of cancer in 2022. Pardon me. However, the work that I did with Patrick Johnson was to try our best to combat this gun violence amongst our youth, amongst people in general in the city of Utica. As you can see, that it has gotten way out of hand. That now we have, 13-year-olds in possession of firearms. We have 15-year-olds losing their life to this gun violence. It's definitely out of hand. So the work that I do now is, just basically trying to bring the community together because I believe that unity is the key to combat this gun violence. I'm the program coordinator at Rebuilding a Village. And what we do at Rebuilding a Village is we do a prevention program, actually. We work with kids from the age of 8 to 18, and we get them and we work with them and we introduce them to this program called Rights of Patrick's Passage that Mr. Patrick L. Johnson had left with us. And this program talks about etiquette, proper etiquette, uh, how to behave and conduct yourself. It talks about hygiene. It talks about a number of things, morals, respecting those in authority. It talks about financial literacy, everything. We even incorporate cursive writing, because that's a technique that the kids can also going to be a tool that they can use, to benefit themselves with their life challenges. So what we do is we have this program, and we have the discussions with these kids, about the violence that's around us as well. And we try to, well, we not try to, but we do, hold these conversations with them, and, just have their mind focused on, their future. Their future is so important and not the moment. Because a lot of these instances with these kids today, with this gun violence, it's because of the moment that they're in. They're not thinking about the future. So that's some of the stuff that we do every Building a Village.
Thank you, Roosevelt. And Mona Lisa, if you can introduce yourself and let us know who you represent.
Hi, my name is Mona. I'm here as a community member, I guess. I'm working alongside with the Civilian Public Safety Advisory Board with a few other members, Utica, and I also work at ICANN, so I also work very closely with Shannon and SNUG. And I support in every way with whatever initiatives that any of the programs in the communities is doing, just like how Roosevelt just mentioned. So I'm just here to support in any way possible.
Thank you, Mona.
Hi. So what we do at SNUG, SNUG is a state-funded program. It's an evidence-based program that is throughout the entire New York State. There's 14 sites throughout the state. We are the 14th site, the latest site that has been open. We've been up and running for about a year now. And I'm sorry?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And what we do at SNUG is we work with the highest risk individuals. When I say high risk, I mean the individuals who are carrying guns, the individuals who are shooting the guns, individuals who've lost family members or friends to gun violence in the last 6 months or so. We work with these individuals to reduce gun violence by mediating conflicts. And the way that we mediate conflicts is we're trained by New York State to bring them into our site, bring them into our space, and change the norm of gun violence for them. We do a lot of things behind the scenes with our participants. Just recently, I think yesterday, my team took at least 10 participants to a magic show and then out to dinner. Just basically trying to get them to understand that gun violence is not the norm. Although, that is what they see in this community often. It's not something that we want to make normal for our youth. So we try to take them out of their norm. We take them ice skating. We take them rollerblading, to basketball games, things that they don't have the opportunity to do because the opportunities aren't given to them. And we want them to understand at the end of the day, they're still children. These individuals, they want the love, they want that one-on-one support. They earn for it. Like that's what they want. They yearn for it. They need it. And that's when we step in and we do these things for them. We had a few times where we got opposing groups. I don't really like calling them gangs. I would call them groups. Opposing groups to even come down to our site at the same time and do individual activities. Even out in the public eye, we take them to do individual things together. Because at the end of the day, these individuals that we work with between the ages of, most of our participants are between the ages of 14 to 18. We do have a few older ones, but the ones that are underage, the ones that are minors, we definitely try to keep a closer eye on them because of the heightened gun violence in our community. So I make sure my outreach workers are checking on them daily. Whenever I hear, a shot of shots fired, I'm getting on that phone, checking, where's your participants? Where are they? Are they safe? Do they need anything? So we're just here to change the norm. We're here to change the norm. We're here to let the community know that we are fed up and we will no longer tolerate gun violence. And we're also here to let the community know that it's going to take more than just SNUG and Revealing the Village. It takes a village. So we need everyone to come together. Like my Uncle Roosevelt said, this is not just an East Utica thing. This is not just a Cornhill problem. This is a Utica problem. So if we're not coming together to combat this crisis, then, we can only do so much. But, we're going to keep fighting the good fight.
So what can the community do to become a participant in the fight against gun violence? Anybody can answer. I guess.
I'm sorry, rephrase that question, please.
what could a community do to participate in the end of gun violence in their community?
Shannon, can I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
What we need the community do is to get involved, is to show up. Snug, I support Snug 1,000%. Snug has these rallies that they do. We need faces out there. We need law enforcement as well as the community to see that we are not just a small group of people, that we are much larger than this. We need to spread the word that everybody needs to get involved. So community participation in those rallies would be definitely be a step in curing this gun violence, because once these people show up, you know, uh, and people see their faces, they'll want to follow, they'll want to be a part of it. If Shannon corrects me, I believe that this last rally that you guys had, this rally was much bigger than the other ones that we had in the past. Would it be a true statement?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people showed up this time. A lot of community members. We get a lot of support from our ICANN family. They show up in numbers. And like Michael said, there's power in numbers. So, when people see someone out there and they see a group of people and the number is large, people want to get involved. People want to get involved and be the change. So like you said, I think it is important that the community knows, like, we need to see teachers out there. We need to see principals out there. We need to see people who these students are running into every single day. We need to see them out there so that these students know that they are being supported at every level, not just in the streets, but in school, after school, before school. So we need those people to be out there, rallying with us against gun violence. And another way that, the community can support the initiative to end gun violence is by sponsoring these individuals. If you think if you are an employer and you need someone to work for you, reach out. Maybe one of our individuals need a job. If you want to sponsor one of our participants because they can't afford to go somewhere, or you just want to do it, then reach out. Be a mentor to them. Be a big brother, be a big sister to them. So we just need the community to come out in numbers, to show these young individuals that they do have the support. Because a lot of them don't go back home to love. A lot of them are in survival mode. So we want to take them out of survival mode and put them into, being a child, being a regular 16, 17-year-old who can go to school safely and walk the streets of Utica safely without the fear of being gunned down. So that's our main goal when we say we need the community involved.
Okay, so with this town hall meeting on tomorrow at the Munson, I believe at 6 p.m., right? What are you guys hoping to get from that? I hear that it's a lot of commercials, a lot of information being put out there regarding this meeting. What do you guys hope to get from the town hall?
Me personally, I hope the town hall, I hope the community could stand up and come out and express how they feel, share ideas. Because I was in a meeting last week with a youth comment council, and they're looking for ideas. They're always open to suggestions. So Utica, I'm hoping that Utica will stand up, come out and express themselves, and let the board know, listen, this is what we need. This is what worked before. This is what can still work. It's effective. Express that, so that the board can do what it needs to do to make things happen. These youths need to see that there's people who care about them, and not just want to see them incarcerated, because we all know incarceration is not the answer, but just some ideas to express, that youth can see law enforcement working at, to show, there's a better way.
I would like to see. Oh, sorry. I would like to see from this meeting. I would like to see the same momentum, like when the shooting happened back in September. Everyone was up in arms. I was in meetings every day. I was doing news coverage. I was doing everything. And then, it faded. It faded. And then, we had these 2 homicides of these babies. And now the momentum is back up and everyone's angry again. Everyone's up in arms, but everyone's only angry on social media. So I want everyone to have the same energy 6 months from now, when that 17-year-old mother is looking at a picture of her baby still mourning him. So I want everyone to have that same energy all year round when it comes to gun violence, and not just when tragedies like this happen. And like I said, I've been in several meetings over the last 2 weeks, since these 2 incidents happened. And, we're telling them what we want to see in the community, but we're telling them what we need. So I don't think it's a problem as telling them what we need. I think it's more so getting out and doing it. We can tell them what we need and a million times, but they know what we need. We need after school fun. We need after school programs for these individuals because they're walking the streets after school because there's nowhere to go. Idle time is very, very, very dangerous for our children. So if we don't, we can start that conversation and leave it in that room. And that's usually seems what's been happening since I've been in this position. And I want these conversations to be taken out of the room and to leave the group chat, So that's my hope for the meeting tomorrow.
And I love what I'm hearing, Shannon. You are, again, I've watched you grow, I've watched you blossom, and just the passion and the power that you have. Like you are in the right position. Like God knew what He was doing when this opportunity opened up for you. Like He really did. But I do want to say really, really quick, I'm hearing the narrative being changed, right? You said we don't call them gangs, we call them opposing groups. And it's things like it's just changing, just changing that very thing where we start calling it something different. We start looking at it differently, and we also start instilling that type of language and those, the language that will lead to action in our youth. So I just wanted to take a moment to just, and I know there's so much more that you guys are doing, but just as I heard that, and that rang hard, in me. But I want to say too, the same thing, Roosevelt, what you're saying, same thing, Shannon, like that is our goal for tomorrow, is to really, again, it's only going to be as good as people come out, but we have a strong community that are, entrepreneurs, that are professionals, that work hard, and we all want the same. Like my children are grown now. I have grands that I now have to, look out for and pray for. And we all want the same thing. We want a safe, thriving community where the quality of life is at the highest, place that we can have, So it's really important for us to be out there, not just to say what's wrong, but also to say, here is what I think we could do differently to make it right.
Absolutely.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I like what Shannon said too about not calling them gangs, calling them groups, because what that does is it breaks it down. Because a lot of these kids, they're followers, and when they hear about a gang and they glorify the lifestyle of a gang, they tend to venture towards that. But calling it a group and breaking it down and showing them the a reflection of that is just a facade. I believe that's a great I want to say what technique, a tool to combat just the wording and the gangs.
Yeah, because it comes down to those simple terms. Like when we're out and we're calling them gangs, and because the other day when they walked into my office, I was like, the gang's all here, but I said it in like a friendly, like you would see or hear in a movie. And the way they looked at me, they didn't like it. They didn't like it. And I caught myself because I was like, I don't usually call them gangs, but it was just so many of them. And I was like, the gang's all here. And I caught myself and I was like, okay, that part wasn't the right thing to say. To a group of kids who are being called gangs, and maybe necessarily they don't want to be called that, or they don't identify as a gang member. So I think it's important that we change the norm of that too. Absolutely.
Yes.
So a couple weeks ago, I believe, and I know the young man was related to you guys. I think his name was Tyreek Tuff. His death really did something to me. I mean, really, I was bothered for like a couple of days. I was just like, what is going on with our babies? And I seen a picture of him. He looked like a baby. I said, this is a child. This is somebody's baby. I got on the phone. I was calling people. I was like, what can we do? How can we help? I called some people in other areas. I know you guys have programs here that's working. How are you implementing these programs so I can bring these to have these conversations? Of course, I was bringing to Roosevelt at the times, because we can't have this. And it's not just happening in Utica. It's happening in Washington, D.C. It's happening everywhere. It's happening within the Black community. And at some point, we all have to get fed up. And I don't have children of my own, but I'm part of that village that, these are my babies too. These are my extended nieces and nephews. Black boys, brown boys, they're my children too. And that's how I see it. When I tell you, I became very active. My other concern was grief, right? I don't think people know the extent of what grief does to a family unit. Do you guys offer any programs as in like grief counseling for the parents, the brothers and sisters?
We do.
Anything from that aspect?
Right, because that's one thing that I'm big on too. That's actually why I went into social work. I'm just big on getting the therapy and the counseling that you need for any reason, whether it be grief, whether it be emotional or anything. But over the last few years, losing these individuals, losing people that I know and love to gun violence, I noticed that there was a lack of resources for, grieving families. These kids have to go back to school the next day after their friend was shot down in front of them, shot in the head in front of them. They have to go back to school and grieve in the classroom for 7 hours. And that ties back into why we need these teachers and these principals and these counselors out in the community rallying with us, because that's who they go back to. That's their safe space. So ICANN does offer a number of resources and things that we can offer for families who are in need of therapy and counseling after they lose a loved one, because grief can definitely turn into violence. We see it time and time again. I know when I went through training for DCJS, the Division of Criminal Justice Service, they said something stuck with me when they said, when when a person loses someone to gun violence, that births a shooter. Because now you killed my brother, I want to kill your brother. So that stuck with me for a long time, and it's always in the back of my head. So, we try to even reach out to we always reach out to the perpetrator's family as well. No stone is going unturned. We're going to reach out to the perpetrator's family just so that we know that they can get the resources that they need too, because this is not only affecting the victim's family. The perpetrator's family is mourning too, the loss of their child who's going to go away to prison for, the rest of their lives. Yeah. So we want to reach out to that family as well and get them the resources that they need so that they can go to counseling and get any funding that they may need to relocate and things like that, because we assist with, OVS, Office of Victim Service. So we assist with that application. And they do a number of things over on their end that, we try to help these families with. But I think it is very, 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 very vital that, these individuals are going to therapy after a loss like this. It's tragic. It's traumatizing. I'm traumatized every day when I have to work with these families, when they come down to my office and I have to fill out the application with them. And it is very traumatizing. So I know if I'm mentally exhausted that, I can know the extent of what these families are going through.
Right.
Yes. Also, I'd like to add this, that aside from rebuilding a village, another hat that I wear is I am the director of Save Our Streets. It's a gun violence prevention program from out of the Oneida County District Attorney's Office. So when there's a shooting in Utica, for example, with the young gentleman by the name of Tyreek Tuff, I received that phone call. My job then is to go to the scene, assess the scene, then go to the hospital where the family will be at the hospital. So I go to the hospital, provide whatever comfort I can to the family. I don't know if it's ideal for me to talk about this, but but I'll just share with you a little bit. A situation with a young man getting killed, you know, the mother wants to see the body. So with the new hospital and all, you know, they have, you know, we don't have a medical examiner here in Oneida County. He's in Syracuse. So when there's a homicide, a phone call has to be made to the medical examiner. And if the medical examiner say, "Hey, I don't want nobody to touch that body," then you know it hinders the family from actually, you know, viewing their loved one. That's a process that we're working on right now. You know, so in this situation, I was able to get Amanda to, you know, say her goodbyes to her son. And that was something major for that family. You know, the family was out now in the lobby, you know, going crazy. You know, so yeah, so I mean, Tyreek Tuff was a participant in a summer youth program that we had in Kimball Street Park right before COVID hit. And so, you know, his passing definitely had an impact on rebuilding the village. So we you know, we called up Amanda and let her know right away, listen, we're here for you, anything at all. The door is open to you. We're a phone call away. If you need us there, we're gonna be there around the clock, you know. So yeah, so comforting a family is definitely important, yes.
Okay. And I know Mona and both Tiffany are on the committee for the town hall. What are your guys' expectations for tomorrow? What do you hope to see from the community?
Okay, sorry, I was taking notes. So I like everything that Roosevelt and Shannon is saying. In terms, we both Tiffany and I were speaking a lot about what it is that what's the point of this town hall, and honestly the point of this town hall is really more like information gathering. So not only are we going to introduce ourselves to the community, but we would like to hear back from the community. We want people to come and show up and talk about their concerns. So what it is, we're going to use those suggestions to pass it along to the UPD and to the officials, to the city officials, so that way we can see if we can make some improvements on their ends. We're really just like a conduit. We're really just the liaison between UPD and the community. We're just trying to, if the goal is to try to work together to make it a overall better experience in the community and UPD, then how does that look like? What does that look like? How can we get there? And we're hoping that we can get enough information and enough feedback so that we can reach that goal in working with UPD. So to answer your question, we're hoping to see a lot of people with a lot of ideas and suggestions that we can bring back to the Utica Police Department and city officials.
And I like to add to, and Mona, I hope I'm not like overstepping my board boundaries, but we didn't talk about this in meetings and stuff, but Shannon and Roosevelt, if you can bring information from the groups that you support or you lead, we would really like to, you know, for you to share that information as well. Like even, you know, your brochures or whatever, business cards or whatever you have, so that that information again could be given out. And how can someone reach you, Shannon, and you know, for preventive measures and for post-trauma stuff. So if we can have that information as well, that would be really great. We'll set it out where the refreshments will be.
If you don't mind, I do have one thing that I kind of wanted to touch back on really quick. One of your questions was, well, what can the community do? And I know Roosevelt and Shannon spoke a lot about it. But there is one thing that I kind of wanted to harp on and really focus on, that mental health is really a big thing. And it's something that people are kind of overlooking. PTSD is real. Anxiety is real. You know, depression is real. And anger is, these things are feelings and emotions that I know Roosevelt is constantly posting about this, as well as Shannon. These are emotions that these individuals are going through. How can we address that? How can, and as simple as, the person, the neighbor, the teacher, whatever role it is that we're playing, play that role, play whatever, however it is that you can help, do what you got to do to try to assist that child that needs, whether they need to talk, whether they need, some a ride, whatever it is, but they need to hear us, they need to see us, they need to feel us, they need to be hugged, they need love. But yes, there's not a lot of money, there's not a lot of programs, but we are, look at Rebuilding the Village, ICANN, and there's other programs, Junior Frontiers.
The money's out there. The money's definitely out there. So there may not be a lot of programs like Rebuilding the Village and Snug, but the meetings that I've been to in the last couple of weeks, the money is definitely there. The money's there. We just need to utilize it. We need to utilize it. And like I mentioned 100 times before, and I'm going to always mention it, a lot of these individuals, a lot of the high risk individuals that I work with, these children are walking around with undiagnosed mental health issues, undiagnosed PTSD. They don't know why they're so angry, because they have a diagnosis that has not been, given to them, and that comes down to the parents' lack of knowledge of these things. So I know me and my uncle spoke about before when we met with the mayor a couple months back. We spoke about doing basic parenting classes. And I think that is ideal right now. I think when it comes down to the parents not noticing the signs of their children being depressed or not knowing what to do when your 16-year-old is walking around angry all day long, because that's an undiagnosed mental health issue. And then, the 16-year-old who's walking around angry, who doesn't get the help that he needs, he turns into an angry man. He turns into an angry Black man, and we don't need any more angry Black anyone, So I think it's very important for us to discuss that a little more too, about just doing basic parenting classes and showing them, giving them the information that they need to get the help for their children, because mental health issues are real in our community. They go undiagnosed, they go unnoticed, and it's not okay. It's definitely not okay.
Go ahead.
I have a really quick question. Shannon, so like if there's a fire, right, the Red Cross is, especially I think if it's a certain level or whatever, like the Red Cross is pulled in, they come with their van and everything. Is that something that, so if when there's that type of crisis, a violence crisis like that in our city, are you guys called in to, or Roosevelt, are you guys called in to provide like some level of service? You guys are called in? Okay.
A lot of the times, I know Uncle Roosevelt is on the scene, so he gets the first information. Then that information is relayed to me and my team. I get a lot of calls for the OVS application, helping with funeral costs, helping with food for the week, and things like that. Anything they may need. So so he's probably the first person. He is the first person who gets in contact, and then they'll contact me and let me know, the family, the victim, and everything like that. So that way we can provide those resources for them and get them the help that they need for funeral costs and moving costs and stuff like that.
It's unfortunate, but that's amazing. Thank you. That's needed. Okay.
I noticed you mentioned something about you meeting with the mayor. I noticed there's some changing of the guards happening right now in Utica. I know there's a new mayor coming abroad and a new, is it not a prosecutor? What's his name?
District attorneys, Todd Carver.
Yeah. There's a new. How can we? I'm not gonna say Snug or Roosevelt. How can we as a community ensure that our needs are being met with these new individuals? That's coming into their position.
I think it's important to just invite them to our spaces. When we're having meetings like the one tomorrow. Inviting them to our spaces, and because they know the issues, the last person in that position didn't solve everything. So they definitely know the issues that's going on in the city of Utica. So just inviting them to our spaces. The mayor, Mike Galimi, did come out to our rally that we did about last week or the week before. So they definitely know the issues that's going on in the city. I think just continuing for them to continue to show up for us. And for our youth.
I want to add this. We are under a new mayor as well as a new district attorney. today. However, our previous mayor was highly upset with me at a comment that I made back in September. We had a high school shooting. I believe you guys are aware of that on September 9th. A comment that I made was that this is a result of a community ignored. It got back to him, and he was rattled about it. And what I meant by that statement was, it goes back to, our kids have nothing to do. Your focus is on building up the downtown. Your focus is on, when people come to offer exit 31 into Utica, Utica looks good. Utica looks good. Utica looks good. But the inner city, we have a problem in the inner city. We are the inner city. You know, we're being ignored. We're asking you to provide resources for our kids, to get our kids out of these streets, to get our kids on a more positive path, thinking about their future, you know, not focusing on a gun or any type of revenge or anything like that. You know, all of that was ignored. So this is the result of, you got a high school security guy who almost lost his life. You know, a young man pulled the trigger and luckily he didn't know what he was doing, you know, shot him in his head. You know, so with this new mayor, I believe that he means business. His focus is on the inner city. Like Shannon just expressed, he was there at the Snug rally. You know, the first homicide that we had, he called my phone personally. You know, and then the second one, oh my God, he called me at 2:00 in the morning. The shooting was at like 9:00. He called me furious at 2:00 in the morning, demanding that I be in his office at 8:00 in the morning. So, hey, I was there. When I got there, the district attorney was there as well, you know, and he was, you know, determined, you know, fist to glove, that, you know, he wants something done about this gun violence in the city of Utica. So to answer your question, I believe that this mayor, as well as the district attorney, you know, to support the community and whatever ideas that we have and whatever means that we need.
Roosevelt just reminded me of one more thing. It's another option of having people get involved. We have to show up to our common council meetings. We just have to. We have to voice our opinions. We need to talk at these meetings. We need to stand up, and it just can't be just one. It has to be numbers. We have to show that we're here, we're fighting for the same things, because if we're not voicing it, if we're not talking, then yes, we're going to continue to be ignored. So we have to go out there, voice our opinions, attend these meetings, take a seat at the table and vote. But it's just very important. That's all I wanted to add.
Right. And that's why it's important for community involvement.
True. And you know, one of the biggest things that I expressed to Tiffany regarding the shooting at the school, people need to understand this is not a Black problem. This is not a gang problem. This is a community problem, because when you're not taking care of certain issues within a certain community, it leads out. It bleeds out, and other people get affected from the gun violence. And I wanted that same vigor from the community that they gave that security guard. Not saying that he didn't deserve it, but you know, I seen fundraisers, I seen GoFundMes from people in our community. Businesses got involved, and every time when somebody's child, a baby, gets shot in the head or gets killed, we need that same energy every single time.
Yeah, and I said the same thing when I went to the mayor office a week after my uncle was sitting right there. I said we need the same energy. I said, yes, a security guard was shot, and I do not condone violence of any sort, and I hate that happened to him. But where was this energy when we had 7 shootings in July? You know, where was this energy? Right. You know, so I need everyone to keep that same energy. I need everyone to be angry. The same way they were angry about that security guard being shot in his head, I need them to be angry about these 2 Black young men who were shot in their head. I need everyone to pull together. I need the community to be outraged, you know? So, yeah.
Right.
It's the same thing.
And it starts from the heart. Again, I don't live in Utica anymore. However, my heart is still there. I'm here afar. I can do what I can do. I can call people. Like I've sent that flyer to so many people to please show up to this town hall. Please come. Please go. I called people from outside the community, and they said they were going to be there. Um, just trying to get the discussion, but I'm all about action. I'm ready to move. However we have to move, I'm ready to move. Because we had several conversations, even with rest in peace with Patrick Johnson. I'm not saying any progress has or has not been made, but it's definitely time for action. We can't keep talking about what we're gonna do. Like Shannon said, we have to do it. It's time. It's definitely time to move. So
And I just want to piggyback off of that too. The essence, and like Coffee said, we have conversations, we have little debates, we voice our opinions amongst ourselves. But what I really want to hit home on, the essence is this: there are certain things we have control over, and there's some things that we may not. Right, so we don't have our center yet, and we don't have, but there are some things in the making. What we do have control over is going to the town hall tomorrow. We do have control over, like Shannon said, showing up at the rallies, and really being a part of it. And Mona and I have had previous discussions on some things. And I always say, if we stay in our lane, right? So we all have something that we're passionate about, but we're still on the same pool together. Right. So even though I may I'm going to stay in my lane, and I want to see our city be developed, real estate, economics, right? Because all that comes into play, so that the monies that are there that help it's not just to pad pockets, right? The more we can get into the community, then it trickles out, and we can have more funding for other things. But what I'm trying to say is, we're still in the same pool. So even though I want to, really be focused on something so that we can have more of certain types of things here, that doesn't mean that I don't go to the rally that Shannon's putting on, right? It doesn't mean that I don't march with Roosevelt. And so, there's, again, just the essence of what I'm just trying to say is that we do have some control. We have control, and we have to change the narratives in our minds that we have it. Right. And so it's taking the steps, it's making the phone calls, it's coming to, going to the parks, but it's showing up, right? It's showing up regardless of where we, what our main focus or main passion is. It's all together is what I'm trying to say. And so, Mona put me straight one day. She said, I don't see you marching, right? I don't see you marching. And I'm like, well, I'm passionate for this. And she's like, yeah, but we need marchers, right? And I'm like, well, dang, I don't, y'all know my personality. Y'all see me, doing that. But, what she said, I took to my heart in a good way, because you know what, I may not be, operate in a certain way all the time, but when there's strength in numbers. So when we do need to march together, let's march together. When I need to, go to a meeting, I go to a meeting. When I need to, work on some deals, I work on some deals, but we're all in this together. So no matter what we do, no matter if we're, quiet or whether we're loud, we can, make that same, we can make that same noise, or make a louder noise together. So just want to share that. Thank you, Mona, Mona be speaking her truth, girl.
That's one thing Mona gonna do.
Well, I thank you guys. And please, community, Utica, New York, Syracuse, Rome, Albany, wherever you're from, please show up to this town hall meeting tomorrow at Munson at 6 p.m. Right? Bring your ideas. Please communicate to the community what your needs are and how we can work together at getting this gun violence in the city of Utica, New York under control. We have to save our babies. We have to. I also want to continue this conversation. I don't want this to be the last time that we meet and we have this discussion. I want it to be ongoing, and we can invite more and more people. I had a lot of people outside of Utica who's interested in participating in this town hall, and I reached out and asked if there was going to be a virtual option. Not this time, but the next one, they're going to try to get a virtual option so people that, you know, still has love for the city, that was born and raised here but don't live here anymore, can also participate. So I did reach out, and it's gonna happen. We just not this one, but I'll keep the lines of communication open with everybody, and we can have another next month's Black History Month. So I might be calling on some of you guys again, because you know, Coffee and Cream starting to rev up again, and have more conversations about various things in the community. Does anybody have any final thoughts they would like to share?
I would just like to say, historically in Utica, people will always say, "Oh, the Sprats and them Pattersons always causing troubles." Now you see them Sprats and Patterson up here trying to be the solution.
You're right.
So that's a joke that people always hit me with. They talk about me and Shannon out here. Yeah, I love it though.
I love to see it as well. I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of you, Roosevelt. I seen. I don't know. Did you get an award? Something, but anyway. Huh?
I did not receive an award. I received something better than a reward. My criminal record was expunged, was totally erased.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was the previous district attorney made it his business to have me as his last and final case to expunge my record into its entirety.
That is amazing.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank
You
you.
deserve it. I've seen your growth. You've been doing a great job. And
Thank you.
just as Patrick took you under his wing,
Yes.
for your nieces, nephews that you have, or other kids in the community, take them under your wing and keep the cycle going.
Absolutely. Each one teach one.
That's right.
Yes, indeed.
And again, I'm here. Just send me an email, send me an instant messenger. If somebody, I don't know if y'all have my phone number. Call me. Let me know how I could be of assistance, and I'll do what I can do from afar.
Great.
Great.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so
Have
much.
a good evening, guys.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Tomorrow.
All right. Good night,
Yeah, see you
everyone.
tomorrow.
All right, go.
All right, see you later.